Wishing you a very good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you wherever you are in the world, and a welcome to or welcome back to Lorena's Labyrinth, back to the channel. I'm going to do the thanks in advance to you. Whether you're a returning visitor or a new visitor to the channel, I just want to acknowledge you and say thank you for being part of my journey and encourage you to put your comments up, put your feedback, put your thoughts. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different chitter-chatter yarning today because I've got some thoughts on my mind that I want to share with you. And it's largely prompted because of some experiences I've had this week. So if you're new to the channel, you might not be aware that I have a background in social work. I'm Australian Standards Bachelor of Social Work. I've done a lot of advocacy, supporting of people in vulnerable situations and that kind of thing. I also started my Masters of Counselling, but I didn't complete it because I didn't do the prac before I decided to stop pursuing my studies. I figured I'd gone as far as I wanted to go. I'm a mature age person, not a spring chicken anymore, and I just decided enough was enough with basically doing the university studies. Anyway, the point or the reason for me making this point and letting you know that is because when it comes to personal morals and values and all the rest of it, I'm all about empowering people and empowering them, giving them strategy, tips, techniques, whether it's metaphysical, whether it's mainstream, to overcome their fears, their insecurities and their doubts, and to be able to embrace their authentic self, And when we say authentic selves, we mean being true to ourselves, being comfortable to stand and speak our truth and to have integrity. And to, because in this process, we're able to recognize and embrace the idea that we are individually a divine spark, that we're unique and perfect as we are right now, because we right now are always growing and striving towards self-improvement and development, not only of our gifts, but of the way we interact on the earth plane. So for today, I'm prompted to speak about love in the form of kindness and consideration. And I think for me, I can understand why many people feel that there is very little love around them at the current time, because so many of us forget to be kind in the course of our lives, and we might step into an impulsive reaction of being unkind in our speech or our actions without actually realizing that that's what we're doing. And where I'm going with this, I'm being completely transparent here. It can be a battle for us as individuals to remain kind, especially to other people, and especially to those people that we don't know personally, when we're under stress or pressure, or when we're at the end. I think they call it the pointy end of an injustice, when something has been done that is unfair and we're striving to get a balance back within our lives and fairness and equity. So anyway, while there are many topics I could talk to or talk about, I chose today kindness for a couple of reasons. One is, if you are looking at the quotes that I'm loading at the moment, you will see that for 2025, I decided to start with a theme focused on new beginnings and starting afresh, starting over for people, because it is a new year. But I've actually been working on the quotes for the month of February and going into March, and I decided to make that theme about kindness. And so, of course, you've got to be able to laugh about this stuff, right? So I'm putting up a lot of quotes about kindness and looking at them and, getting inspired and motivated myself through the month of February, a bit proactive. But what I have done is I've had a realization, because this week being unkind in my words has come back to bite me on the bottom, shall we say. I've had a number of stresses this week. So to put this into perspective, I didn't realize at the time that I was being unkind, that I actually was being unkind with my words. I felt that there was an emotional distance there, but you do have to have a sense of humor about these things. I'm going to give you the backstory here, so that you can laugh with me and perhaps learn from my experiences of what might have been a better option. Okay, what did I do? Or what happened this week? Well, I am having a little bit of I wouldn't say battle. I'm not going to give you all the details because I don't want to have you falling apart and feeling all sorry and all the rest of it. We all, throughout the course of our life, will at different times encounter problems interacting with government departments. And this is what I have had this week. Now, when I was doing my social work advocacy, of course, I would write letters for people like me to government departments and all the rest of it as part of resolving their problems. For me, in this instance, I'm well aware, based on my experience, that you can actually be an advocate. You can have all the training in the world, but you need to have that independent third party as an advocate when you're trying to solve your own problems. In my experience, it seems to be the only way that actually works. So, where I'm going with this is I've had a problem with a government department, beating my head against a brick wall. I have actually engaged somebody who is supporting me through this process, and we have just continually met these brick walls. So I was in a conversation with her about what we might be able to do next as part of resolving this problem. And I said to her, excuse me while I have a cough, sorry. Sorry about that. I said to her, back in the day when I used to do advocacy, I said at this point in time, I probably would be encouraging my client to actually write a letter to their local member of parliament for a government intervention or at least some form of support. And she said, what a good idea. I love the way, by the way, that I end up training people that I interact with just in my day-to-day living. But anyway, moving on, she said, why don't you contact your local member of parliament? Well, of course, I gasped and I went, oh, no, maybe not. That's not actually going to be a good idea if I was to do that, because there's a backstory here. And it was me I now in hindsight would say, being unnecessarily brutal with my truth, which is unkindness. So, to put this into context and perspective for you and for her, I have to do the whole backstory, okay? So, I'll abbreviate it. So, the backstory goes way back to when I returned to Western Australia from the eastern states. I'd been living in Victoria for a while, and when I was doing my advocacy, I had to go in and out the courts on a regular basis and support people by articulating gaps. We call them systemic injustice. It's gaps in the system which leaves people particularly exposed and vulnerable at different times. And so my role in Victoria was actually made easier because they actually have what is referred to as a Charter of Human Rights, and they have guiding legislation that refers all magistrates when they're making their decisions. I'm talking about the citizens' courts, okay? I'm not talking about criminal court hearings. This is about citizen rights. Their legislation would redirect the magistrates to go back and refer to the Human Rights, Charter of Human Rights if necessary. Which was great, actually. It was really, really good, and we managed to get a lot of really positive things happening. However, in Western Australia, and just, people overseas probably are interested in this. If I've got Australian people that are watching this, they'll know what I mean. We in Australia do not have a federal charter of human rights or a bill of human rights like what the US does. Our states operate independently when it comes to human rights. So when I returned to Western Australia, I was actually thoroughly disgusted because I was still doing my social work, if you like, and I was thoroughly disgusted that actually we don't have any guiding legislation, and it's very, very easy for vulnerable people, including people with disability, to fall through the cracks here in WA. So when this is not a new thing, obviously, we've been a colony or an independent colony, if you like, since 1900. So we've had many years of governments that have failed to address this matter. And there's only one political party that might actually take on board the human rights historically, okay? So they had an election. I, of course, can be unfiltered and abrupt at times. And after the election, I flicked an email off, you may as well say, to my local member of parliament, who had now become the God, what are they called? It's not a ruling party because we don't have rulers. But basically, they were the party in government. They'd won the government. So I flicked an email off to them. It was only about 2 sentences long. And I said, do you think now that you've finally won the election and have some sense of power, that it might be timely to introduce a West Australian Citizens' Bill of Human Rights, okay, similar to the charter that is in place in Victoria. Now, when I flicked that off, it was really only 2 sentences and I didn't expect a reply. But what I got was basically an email pretty well within a couple of hours from the sitting member in my area who said, "What a great question. Thank you for asking. Can you pop into my office and talk with me about this?" And I thought, well, this is my truth, my integrity, my authentic self, if we like. Absolutely, I'll come into your office. I'll listen to your rubbish because I'm as cynical as the next person. I have very little faith in politicians. This seems to be a common thread with people. But I went along because I thought, fairness, let's hear the man, let's hear what he's got to say. So I went into his office and we talked about it, and he assured me that they actually were working on a Bill of Human Rights for the West Australian citizens at that time. By the way, we're now going back, I think, probably 7 or 8 years. And so anyway, he fed me the spiel, as you do, the big promise, oh yes, we're working on that and it's going to happen. And, can I ask you to join the party, which of course becomes paying for membership and to support our party. And I thought, well, okay, there's always reciprocity, if that's how you pronounce the word. Yeah, okay, all right, I'll join. So I took out membership and I supported them. And here we are 9 years later or whatever it is, and this charter has still not been introduced. So he's made a promise to me, okay? He has said that they are doing it. It's definitely happening. He's assured me the Queen's Council is moving on it. And based on that, this is what we called informed decision making. Based on the information I was given, I made a decision to join the party. You might not need to be psychic to know where this conversation is going, okay? So it might be about 2 weeks ago, possibly 3, I can't really remember now. I received a phone call from the party office, the routine PR marketing stuff, hi there, how you going? Are you happy? We've noticed you're not active in the party. What can we do to retain your membership kind of thing? And quite possibly because we're all dropping like flies, would imagine. And would I like to help out with the campaigning for the party, because we're coming into an election in the near future as well. So there's a bit of a thing here, fair warning to people is if I'm busy and distracted or multitasking, there is every chance I will respond in an unfiltered way, and it will be impromptu. And it will probably be brutally direct, as it went with this conversation. So the conversation went kind of like, he asking me those questions and my response being, are you serious? You cannot be serious, can you? I cannot believe that you're phoning me up and asking me about this, okay? So then he, of course, responds with, yes, I am, and will you be voting for us at the next election? Round about that point, me being who I am, because I actually was multitasking at the time, was brutally, you're going to be choking in a moment because I hang my head in shame when I think about it now. He does the will you be voting at the next election? Now, my normal response to something like this is, do you really want the answer to that? I need to know. Do you really want me to answer that question? Because you may not like what you hear. And of course, the auto response to that is probably these people sitting behind their desks think that, or maybe their job descriptions say, everybody has the right to speak. And, if they turn around and say, you're not going to like it, we'll ask them what it is they're unhappy about, whatever. So, of course, he's done the yes. And that, of course, has given me free range. I have opened my mouth unfiltered and I've said, right, okay, well, just so that you know, there is no way on God's green earth I would ever vote for your party again. It's full of liars from top to bottom. And as far as I'm concerned, I voted for X, who has now stepped down from the party. They've retired, by the way. And the current premier is nothing, so this is where I really go to town, nothing but a big-eared smiling chipmunk who's as much use as the proverbial teats on a bull, right? And how he got the job is beyond me, because, he's got it by default. Somebody's resigned their position and he's been promoted. Surely you had somebody better in the party you could have put into that role. This dude that you've got in has got no respect for disability, can't even read the legislation, although he's a lawyer, and was basically the advisor for discriminating against people with disability over about the last 5 years when he was acting as the Minister of Health. So you can see there that I have really let fly in an unfiltered way. But I didn't stop there. Okay, I had to say more. The door was open. So I mentioned, and by the way, the federal member, this will be the one, maybe it wasn't the federal member. Either way, I've said they're full of liars. I said they all lie, they all make promises they've got no intention of keeping. And I said, and gormless and spineless, I think may have been words I threw into the conversation. So just in the relay, we can see that my conversation with this guy actually was completely lacking in kindness, and I think I stepped beyond the pale, to be honest. And this is why I'm rethinking this whole process of kindness, okay? As far as, what can kindness, we think when we're being kind that we're being kind to other people, but being kind is actually being kind to ourselves as well. At the end of the day, I don't believe that any of my words, as harsh and unfiltered as they were, is going to have any impact on the political parties. I also believe that the politicians that I made these comments about are so thick-skinned, it will be waters off a duck's back. They don't care. Their egos are big enough to be able to handle negative personal criticism, because they are, let's be real, in positions of power and beyond it. And even if they lost the election, they're in a position where they're going to be set for life. They're going to now have their pensions and be paid out by the taxpayer until the day they die. They'll probably get a state funeral, all of that stuff. So my comments about what I think of them, what they look like, which is a very personal attack, is totally irrelevant. It does no good to actually say that. But by being unfiltered, what I've done is hand my own personal power away. Because when we talk about power is often associated with choices. In fact, I would say most of the time it is. Powerful people have got options and choices. When stuff goes wrong, they've got backup options, okay? For people who are not in those positions of power, we will have not the same amount of options and choices, opportunities. So what I've done is I've given my power away, and there can be nothing to demonstrate this more than the current scenario, where it's like, now I've got a problem and I want to be able to solve it. And one of the options I could have had, if I was filtered in my response, was actually contacting the local member of parliament and asking for his assistance. I might not have got any assistance. That's the reality too, but it would have been an opportunity to try. So in hindsight, rather than speak my brutal truth, it might have been a better option. There's a couple of ways I could have handled this as well, bit of graciousness. Thank you for asking, but no, I don't wish to discuss my preferences, but please be assured I am no longer willing or in a position to support your party. I've become disenfranchised. Can you please take me off your mailing list? You know what I mean? Politeness goes a long way, a little bit of sensitivity. And the other thing is, if I can't articulate, if you're actually busy, somebody like me, if I'm busy and on the hop and multitasking, just to be straight up, look, I'm busy right now. Thank you for your call. No, I don't have time for a chat. Sorry about that interruption, but, I'm right into this, so I'm just going to keep recording this video and just apologise and hope that your eardrums manage to get past that notification by my phone. But basically just turn around and say, look, I'm too busy, call me back at another time, or look, I'm too busy to chat right now, but actually, can you take me off your mailing and phone call list? I don't have time to talk right now, and I just find them a little bit intrusive for now. Something like that, something that's not personal. That would be one way of doing it. You might have some other ways of approaching this if you're an unfiltered person such as I am. But either way, if we are kind to other people, then we do ourselves a kindness, is the point that I'm coming to with this. So just revisiting this thought, because this is a thought in process. I've got my transcript notes, but I'm thinking out loud. There was one quote I saw in the kindness quotes where people perceive kindness to be about being meek and mild and even a bit syrupy, sickly type. But actually, it is a strength. And I think if we can be kind, it is a personal strength. If we can be kind and master these unfiltered conversations or comments like what I made, then obviously that's a matter of self-mastery. So that is a strength in itself. And if we cannot master them, I think it's a prime example that I've actually disempowered myself. Incidentally, just so you know, it's not the end of the world because there were other options available to me. So I've taken a number of different options. I'm waiting now for outcomes. And if that fails, then I still have another backup option. So if you are in a similar situation like this and battling with government departments, yeah, look, one option is actually to contact your local member of parliament. Often that can be unsuccessful, just so you know. If they're the ones that are sitting in power, quite often they're a bit, oh, well, boohoo, whatever. And on those occasions, you would then go to the leader of the opposition, or because in Australia we've got basically two parties, you would go to an opposing member and state your problem to them, and they will quite often go into bat for you. So sometimes you actually get more success by going to their opposition. Anyway, that's the end of the kindness bit that I wanted to talk with you about. So, as usual, we'll start with the channel update now, but we'll start with the crystal information. Just for your information, if you weren't aware, I'll tell you anyway. I got my Realgar and Orpiment tower obelisk today. Not today, I got it the other day, and I'm absolutely in love with it. But I'm doing a video on that to be loaded in the near future, and I've actually ordered some seraphinite. I believe that's how you pronounce it, and that is coming to me from Russia. So I was planning to load that video earlier, but I've decided to hold off now until I actually get my new sample, because it's actually a small lump that I'm getting. Small ore body, shall we say? That's probably the wrong word as well. I'm not sure of the descriptor. But either way, I thought I would hold off until I've actually got it, and then I will be able to write a fresh experience, shall we say, with that product too. So I'm pretty excited. I'm looking at buying some more stuff as well for setting up my room here at home. I'm going to fly through this today because there's something else I want to talk to you about. Basically, Tiger Eye has been published. You will have seen that get loaded and published if you've got the notifications on. The video on Ametrine has also been loaded. Actually, I should have said with Tiger Eye, in case you're not aware, we may as well say one of the primary focuses for Tiger Eye is about strength and courage and maintaining hope, So if that's where you think you need some help, Tiger Eye is the crystal for you. You can learn more about it by watching the Tiger Eye video. If, on the other hand, you are looking at developing your spiritual potential and creating some form of transformation in your life, Ametrine is right up there for being one of them. It is an expensive crystal though, and I've given you lots of buying tips on that, and I've actually blown some myths about what Ametrine is and how it forms naturally and how to identify it from the fake. So Ametrine is right up there as one that I think probably, based on my message of kindness today, my experiences, for a prime example, I have the desire to bring kindness into my life and to be more patient and all the rest of it. And what Ametrine would actually do is assist me. This is what I believe, of course. It's got the qualities there within it that would assist me to remain strong and focused in this desire to improve my personal expression, I guess, because it's got willpower associated with one of its physical attributes. That's how I see it anyway. So I have replaced, as far as my scheduling goes, I've replaced the seraphinite with rhodochrosite, this crystal that we've got here. Now this one proved to be very interesting for me as far as a research perspective goes, and just understanding how to make sure that we don't get sucked in and buy fake stuff, if you like. The metaphysical properties I think are incredible anyway, but this is also up there. It's one of my favorites, but I wouldn't say it's one that I use all the time, but it's certainly abundant as tumbles, and easily affordable as well for those of you that would like. It's recommended for women actually who are experiencing low self-esteem. Straight off the bat, I'll give you that one. Definitely a women's crystal, and I tend not to wear it that much, although I actually do have a pendant of it. I don't have any clusters of it. I've also recorded the Chrysoprase video, okay? Now, the thing is, with Chrysoprase and Ametrine, they're both quite raw, well, they are raw as well, but they are quite rare. And so therefore, if a crystal's particularly rare, it can be very, very expensive. And I was very fortunate that I was gifted a piece of the slab, you may as well say the slab of Chrysoprase, because life would have it, I ended up meeting a guy that owned a Chrysoprase mine, and so he gave me a piece of it, which is really nice. But I was having a look at it and I was thinking, it's probably out of my price range, but that doesn't make it a less beautiful crystal. But even still, it's important to take a look at it as far as if you're going to buy it. You want to make sure that you're buying quality, or at least getting what you pay for. Okay, if you think that you're buying Chrysoprase, then you want to be buying Chrysoprase. You don't want to be paying these expensive prices for some kind of fake. Now, I can't remember if I talked to you guys about this plan for 2025 that I've got on my radar, and that is I want to return to that space where I can deliver a couple, not a lot. It's not going to be a 20 free readings or 40 free readings a week or whatever. My intention is that I'm able to give back to people and to do free tarot readings, maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 a week if I can. But the issue with it is, how do I deliver it? Okay, how do I actually get this onto the YouTube channel? I'm struggling a little bit with the concept of technology. I want to be able to do faceless lives, okay? And I'm not quite sure how to do that. So I need to get some technological support on what I can do. So I'm weighing up my options at the moment. Do I put a post up? In fact, actually, if you've got thoughts or ideas or suggestions on how I can manage this, that would be really appreciated. I'm thinking that I need to put a picture up saying, free readings, put your name below and outline the conditions of the offer, and then turn comments off. Once I've got my recipients, turn the comments on that off. And then, because I can't deliver it live at this point in time, it might be a case of then I go and do a recording and notify the people that the free readings are up for them to be able to access it. I don't know. Anyway, it's a little bit of a challenge for me. I know I can do it. Well, no, I don't really know that. I've got to look into it some more. But look, I've been speaking to a lady who's very tech savvy. I bumped into her yesterday. In fact, actually, that's a story in itself. And she said that she's going to catch up with me and we'll have a conversation about how I might be able to do it. So hopefully that's not too far away. So in the meantime, I do encourage you, whether you're new or old visitor to the channel, to explore this video that I've put up as part of empowering you. When we reflect upon our physical ailments, this is how we get to see the extreme end of our thinking and thought processes and manifestation, because we draw to ourselves illness. There's a whole conversation to be had about that. So I'm not saying that we manifest and create all of our illnesses, especially when we're born with genetic conditions. But what I'm saying is that the way we live our life can actually exacerbate some of these conditions. So other people, I'm being a little bit revealing today. I'm talking about some of my internal stuff that I have go on. And one of them includes the fact that I've got a couple of chronic health conditions. Now, while I would say that I have used crystals and healing energy and all the rest of it, they haven't cured these health conditions. I still have them. But by understanding the links, I'm able to manage the symptoms, shall we say. Now, from an energetic example, I will say that one of my conditions actually is very much associated with the throat chakra. And somebody many years ago said to me, you will never be able to do mediumship or see spirit and spirit communication because of this condition, because of the throat chakra associations. Now, thank God for me, I've got a fairly open and inquisitive mind, because I could take on board those thoughts and think to myself, oh, well, she obviously knows more than me. Must be true. But then I thought to myself, hang on a moment. If we can say that the creator has access to, or is the unlimited divine energy, of which there is no end and where all things are possible, then we would have to actually believe that actually there is no sense of limitation. Anything is possible for all of us. We just have to find out how to make it work for us and what we need to do. So with that in mind, I decided that I actually wouldn't allow this condition to restrict me from being able to access my own internal guides and that kind of stuff, and interrupt my connection, if you like, to the creator. But what I can say is, I think that because I have this condition and because I've had to be creative in my own way of developing that connection and raising my vibration, then you will probably see that I work differently to a lot of other people. But my thoughts are, if it works, it works. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm just going to be grateful. If I can be that messenger for source, the creator, the guides and spirits and that kind of thing, and do it in a reliable, trustworthy way, that is all important. It's not how I deliver, in as far as do I talk to plants or whatever, that kind of stuff. It's not important how I get my messages. It is just important that I am a pure vessel and can convey them to you accurately and as close to the message that I receive as I can. Because let's be real, when spirit communicates with us anyway, they're doing it symbolically, and we actually have to translate those images into whatever language or sensations. I say images, it's not always about images. It's clear audio, it's all of the senses. We have to be able to translate that into our own language and into words that do justice to the information that we receive. And sometimes it can be a struggle actually to put in the feelings and sensation associated with the words, or to the feelings that we get from spirit. But anyway, I'm going on a waffle. I do recommend that you watch this video as part of your own inner reflection and understanding of yourself. So just a reminder, of course, of the type of playlists that we have on board, and that if you are new to the channel, this is more directed at you. Some of the content is basically mainstream evidence-based. Others, if it refers only to the metaphysical, is not evidence-based. So I need to be able to clearly define that to you. If you go to the self-help, I will articulate on the videos that I create whether or not this is a mainstream evidential type thing. So anything to do, for example, with neuropathy and that kind of thing, I will actually cite sources. But if it's metaphysical type stuff, there is no sources really to cite unless I refer to books or whatever, which I don't. I do and I don't. Not in a way that it requires an acknowledgement. But yes, there's a number of different playlists there. So, my friends, I was hoping that I was going to be able to keep this video short, but as usual, I go on a tangent. For now, though, what I'll do is I'll close out. I'll just say, look, thank you very much for being part of my journey. I hope you've managed to find something of interest for you today. I invite you to leave your comments, your thoughts, your suggestions, or anything like that to open a discussion, especially when it relates to approaches to spirit energy and even communication, actually, as I've discussed here. We're all works in progress and we're all growing all the time. For now, though, I'm going to say love you, leave you, take care, catch you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.